Welcome to Retire Right Washington. The team at the Retirement Solution has been helping families plan for a successful retirement. The Retirement Solution helps you learn about strategies for creating income in retirement, managing your wealth, and minimizing taxes. Welcome to Retire Right Washington.
Welcome to Retire Right Washington. What legacy will you leave behind? Now, for many people, it's not just about wealth, but about making a meaningful impact, both on their family and on the world. And today, Tom Black and Matt Peroni will share some simple strategies to help you with your legacy planning. Hi, everyone. We're glad to have you back with us today. And of course, I'm here with Tom and Matt. Good to see you both.
Yeah, great to be back.
We're going to have a really deep and I think interesting conversation because legacy planning, Tom, this is multifaceted. Of course, it is about money, but you say it's about a lot more than that.
It is, absolutely. I mean, people fixate on how much money can we leave behind to the kids, or I want to make sure and leave the kids in this situation. I think that's great. But I think when we talk about legacy, I want our clients to really to expand their thinking into more than just the money. Because I think the legacy we leave is what our kids and our grandkids remember about us when we're not here anymore. You know, did grandpa take you fishing? Did grandma teach you about life? Those are the things that really make a difference, and that's the legacy that I want our clients to be thinking about. And I'm no different than our clients. I'm getting up there a little bit. And recently we were able to take all of our kids and our grandkids and spend a week together. And we spent it at an all-inclusive place. And it's been months since we were there. And I won't tell you how many months because I want to age myself, but it's been a little bit of time. And that is still what my kids and my grandkids talk about was that week. And that's worth more than the money they might have inherited 30 years from now when I'm gone. So I really want to expand our clients' view of what legacy is, because there's also great charities who are doing some wonderful things that could use some help as well. So really want to think about legacy in more terms than just maybe the number of dollars you leave for those kids.
So making memories, leaving some dollars for the kids. For sure. Really, both of these do need a strategy. Matt, how do we start to think about legacy planning strategically?
Yep, I think the first thing to do is to back up exactly what Tom said. It is more about than just the money. It's about those memories and things. But once we do start to get strategic, you're right, there's some things to consider there. And so one of the things could be spending on them now. There's some tax reasons behind that. One thing could be gifting. There's tax laws around that allow you to gift money to the kids today, and maybe they go off and do their own thing or something like that. But something else that we want to look at is what type of entities or what type of legal documents are drawn up such that when you do pass away, is the money going to be inherited in an efficient manner? So those are all you start getting tactical on those things. But then you can start looking at too, Tom mentioned, there's wonderful charities and nonprofits out there. And there's so many that you get to pick what it is that you're passionate about. You know, I think of a gentleman just recently that I met with, been a client for several years, and told me that he had updated his will to leave all of his money to Seattle Children's Hospital. Even though he's not married, has no kids, but it's just something that he cares about because that's what matters. What matters is what sings to you and where you want to make a difference.
Yeah, very personal, these decisions. I want to talk timing with you, Tom.
Okay.
Is there a right or wrong or maybe a better time to start thinking about legacy planning?
I would say the right time is when you're really looking at your retirement and getting organized. And looking and saying, what am I going to spend and how does that relate to what I might not spend in the course of my lifetime? And do I want to adjust my spending to spend it all? Or maybe, as Matt pointed out, do I want to start gifting some money earlier to the kids when they really need it and not when I'm gone and they're now in their own retirement age? So definitely early on. And I also think we got to be we want to look at this as we age, because sometimes our spending will change and we'll end up with assets we hadn't anticipated, or maybe we did a little better in the market in some of that long-term risk stuff than we anticipated. And we have some money for those kids or grandkids, or maybe for some charities like Matt was just mentioning, that do some wonderful things out there.
I want to talk about our mindset around legacy planning. I know that some folks are really tempted to think this isn't for me, right? This is for the ultra wealthy. This is for people who have an estate that's very, very large. And you say, think again, maybe, on this.
Absolutely. Once again, people are typically better off than they actually think they are. We're all guilty of comparing ourselves, to someone who just has buckets and buckets of money. But whatever it is that you have, it can make a difference. And to just treat it cavalierly would be just an unfortunate thing to do. So planning for this stuff early on, that's how you determine that you can actually do it. And there's some things too that take time to develop in terms of legacy plans. And so maybe you want to do something when you're 80, and even though you're only 60 today, it might take 20 years to get everything moved and situated such that what you wanted to have happen at 80 actually happens.
Yeah, what you want to have happen. Because someone will make a decision about your money if you don't. Wills, trusts, powers of attorney, all of that is so important. We're going to keep talking about this. Tom and Matt, thank you so much. And coming up, they'll be sharing some actionable tips to help you create that plan that does honor your wishes and helps protect your family. And later, we'll talk about some ways to help your family find real treasure in life. That's in the Retirement Minute. Stay with us right here on Retire Right Washington.
On the surface, your retirement plan might look solid. With your 401k or IRA, Social Security, investments, and insurance coverage, you appear to have it all covered. But what could you be missing? Below the surface, is your retirement exposed to too much risk? It's time for a deeper dive into your portfolio. We can help you uncover the risk that lies beneath the surface and learn about strategies to help preserve your savings. Get your free risk analysis today.
How does your future look in retirement? When you don't have a strategy, the future might look a little fuzzy. But with someone asking the right questions and helping you learn where you truly stand, it can become easier to work towards your goals. You need a plan to help generate income that will last as long as you need it. And the first step to creating an income plan is an analysis of where you are now. Let us help you bring your retirement into focus with your free income analysis today.
Planning for retirement can be complicated. Helping create income that lasts, making sure your health care is covered, investing while managing risk, and don't forget about taxes. If you're overwhelmed, you're not alone. The good news is we have what you need to give you confidence to start planning for your ideal retirement, all in one convenient resource. You'll get answers to some of your biggest retirement questions in this easy-to-understand, practical resource. And best of all, there's no cost to you. Take the first step toward a confident retirement and get yours today.
Welcome back to the show. This is Retire Right Washington. I'm here with Tom and Matt. We've been talking about leaving a legacy, and that can be maybe a little overwhelming. You've got to think about family dynamics. You've got to think about taxes and trusts and powers of attorney, but it really doesn't have to be something you dread, right? And I know it can be a little hard to get your mind around thinking and planning for end of life, but there's so much that this can affect. And I know if we start and we keep a few things in mind, we can kind of eat the elephant one bite at a time, right? So how do we start that, Matt?
Yeah, it's an excellent way to introduce it, Megan. Nobody wants to think about and plan for their own demise, right? It's very human of us. But this can be fun and it can be meaningful. And really the place where we start typically is thinking about your priorities. I sit down with people and I'll ask them, well, so for this amount of money that you're either not going to need or that will be left behind or whatever, what do you want that to do? Do you want that to be for the kids? Are there charities and nonprofits like we've talked about before that you want to benefit? Which ones? Is it a church thing that's really important to you? And that's where it can start to get really meaningful to people. And we typically see the dread start to, fall from their eyes when we're talking about that. And so then it becomes a matter of getting more tactical though and saying, all right, now that we know what it is you want that money to do, let's talk about the types of accounts you have. Certain types of accounts are very easy to inherit or pass on. Other ones are much more difficult. And so we'd want to make plans on that. And that's once you know those general terms, then you want to get with a professional like us in terms of the investment side, or if we need to get an estate attorney involved for that type of stuff to then draw up all the legal structure to make your vision happen.
Matt, thank you. And I do want to talk to you, Tom, about making some of those decisions because a lot of people in our communities are so charitable.
Yes.
And they really have a lot of other people's interests in mind, right? They want to care for those causes that are important to them. What do we need to be considering around charitable giving specifically?
Well, I think first off, what I want people to realize is that sometimes people think, well, the charitable giving, that's for the rich.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the reality is I have a lot of clients who are currently actively giving to charities. Maybe, you know, they consider it small amounts, but there's still those charities needed, whether it's a church or the Humane Society. You know, these are things that are important to them. And we can certainly, we want to talk about if you're going to have some legacy money, maybe that's where you want someone to go, as Matt mentioned on a prior show, you know, going to a children's hospital or whatever those happen to be. And there's lots of different vehicles to get there. And this is where it can become a little overwhelming. You know, people hear about, oh, I think I need a donor advised fund or a charitable trust, or I need, you know, some other structure. And those are good structures if it's going to accomplish what you need. But the first thing you want to do is, before you start building structures, is to step back and say, here's my goals. Here are the things I really want to do. And it's a process. Before I want to set up something like those donor advised funds or charitable trust, I want to give that a year to breathe. I want the client to say, hey, this is what I want. And then let's step back and let's make sure that's what you want. Because once you set up some of these things, they're not undoable. You know, it's difficult to undo them if possible at all. And so we want to make sure that that is really where we want to go. But charitable things is such a wide open world, and it doesn't have to be millions of dollars. It can be, you know, very meaningful on a regular basis to your local church.
Yeah. Can I give one fun example of
Please.
something Tom just said? As I was thinking about this differently, it just occurred to me. I've got a client, we're not supposed to use names, so I'll just call them Steve and Sally, right? Steve and Sally don't have kids, grandkids, no other family that's really around them. So when we had this conversation, they were just kept, there's really nothing that they want to do. But what did occur to them is that they both waited tables. They were both restaurant servers when they were younger. And so what they've decided to do is every time they go out to eat, they leave a $500 tip for the waiter or waitress. And they do that because for them, in their world, the plan we've helped them build, it doesn't hurt them. They can totally afford it. Mm-hmm. But for people who have waited tables, they know that makes their whole month right there. And it just tickles them pink to do that and to leave that legacy behind. And
well, if you know any servers in the area, they might want to know where Steve and Sally frequent.
Because it does. It's about them. It's not about what everybody else thinks they should do. Yeah. And that's a really good, unique one.
Yeah, it doesn't have to just be a trust or something like that. Yeah,
sure.
Whatever it is.
But within that, and whether it is that really creative plan that you helped Steve and Sally with, or something that's maybe more simplified, taxes always are a consideration here. Mm-hmm. How do you approach that, Tom?
Well, I think, taxes, especially if you're going to have some money that you're not going to spend, really becomes an opportunity to not spend money on taxes. If we're going to leave some money to charity, we can position some assets that that need to be taxed. But if we give it to a charity, we'll never be taxed. And you can get more bang out of those dollars. And so that just requires a little bit of organization. Really looking at the assets and saying, hey, we're going to have some money left over. Let's take some of your IRA money, that money that's untaxed, and let's put that over here in this other box for the charity. Down the road, or even, once you get past 70 and a half, we can start doing some charitable donations at that time. Is a great way to get those monies and avoid taxes at the same time.
All right. This is a huge, I think, sometimes overlooked component of retirement planning, but the two of you have made it very clear we should be zeroed in on this with that trusted advisor. As always, Matt, Tom, thank you. We'll keep the show going. Up next, Matt takes us on a treasure hunt. That's coming up in the Retirement Minute. We'll be right back here on Retire Right Washington.
When it comes to planning for the future, time may not always be on your side. Think about your taxes. Tax rates are historically low right now, but they'll likely be higher in the future. With the right planning and strategy, you might be able to cut your tax bill in the years to come. But don't wait until it's too late to take advantage of today's lower tax rates. Let us be your partner in planning for tomorrow so you can enjoy your retirement today.
Planning for retirement can be complicated. Helping create income that lasts, making sure your healthcare is covered, investing while managing risk, and don't forget about taxes. If you're overwhelmed, you're not alone. The good news is we have what you need to give you confidence to start planning for your ideal retirement, all in one convenient resource. You'll get answers to some of your biggest retirement questions in this easy-to-understand, practical resource. And best of all, there's no cost to you. Take the first step toward a confident retirement and get yours today.
On the surface, your retirement plan might look solid. With your 401k or IRA, Social Security, investments, and insurance coverage, you appear to have it all covered. But what could you be missing? Below the surface, is your retirement exposed to too much risk? It's time for a deeper dive into your portfolio. We can help you uncover the risk that lies beneath the surface and learn about strategies to help preserve your savings. Get your free risk analysis today.
Welcome back. Now, if you're looking to go on a journey, you're probably going to want a map, right? Legacy planning, it's no different. Matt's here to tell us how we can leave a treasure map for our loved ones. Matt?
Thanks so much, Megan. So you may be wondering, what in the world does a treasure map have to do with retirement planning? Well, in the office, when you come in to see us, something you'll get to know about us is that we love to have as much fun as we can. We, of course, take the work very seriously, but we also love our analogies to help these things really hit home. So today, what I want to talk about in this retirement minute, when it comes to you leaving your legacy behind, think of it like a treasure map. And I want to emphasize that I said treasure map, not a buried treasure map. If you think of your favorite, like a movie like National Treasure with Nicolas Cage, or a pirate movie where they've got a treasure map, that makes for good film because it's dramatic and there's clues and there's this and that. When it comes to you leaving behind the legacy you want, that's not the way you want it to be. You don't want there to be fights. You don't want there to be mystery or anything like that. So I've got a couple of pictures to help illustrate this here. So if we think of this as a very basic map, as you can see, I definitely did not go to art school on this one, but bear with me on the image. When you pass away, when that time comes, your loved ones that are trying to then piece together things that are left behind are going to kind of have a map that they have to abide by in terms of what you've left behind. And if they have a starting point here, and if they think there's this X down here where X marks the spot, if you will, what you don't want them doing is following this circuitous route, and along the way, maybe they find a false X that was like some sort of clue you left. Oh, here's this account. Oh, that's not quite okay, no, we got to keep looking. And oh, we found this other thing and this other thing. This is not the way you want that to be. If you go this route by not having some sort of written estate plan or some sort of meeting now while you're still healthy with your kids and grandkids and others who are going to inherit these things, what all this is going to create is potential for fights, misunderstandings, frustration, inefficiencies. Again, not good. Here's how we want this to look. What we would much rather this look like is, hey, here's the starting spot. We have a very clearly defined X marks the spot, and we have a straight line going down to it. How do we make this straight line? Well, this is where a few important documents come into play. Something like a will or a trust certainly helps here. There's other things, I don't quite have enough space here. This says POA, like for a power of attorney document. And then HCD, again, pardon my chicken scratch on here, stands for a healthcare directive. These are the types of things that if left behind, they form a treasure map, but with very clear instructions, with a very clear legend, if you will, to try to use all those map analogies that allow your loved ones to peacefully, easily, and efficiently go about the steps that you've left behind for them, okay? So that there's no guessing, there's no frustration, there's none of that. Now at the Retirement Solution, we are not estate attorneys. We don't draft these documents for you, but we help you get them set up with whatever professional is needed and make sure that they are then in line with the rest of your financial plan so that everything is saying and teaching the same message to the loved ones that you'll leave behind. Your legacy that you leave behind to them is, of course, more than just your money. This is an important part of it, though, so that they know your wishes and so that you can know that what you wanted to happen is actually what happened. That's what we have for you today. Megan, back to you.
Thanks, Matt. And up next, your questions about retirement answered. That's coming up next on Retire Right Washington.
How does your future look in retirement? When you don't have a strategy, the future might look a little fuzzy. But with someone asking the right questions and helping you learn where you truly stand, it can become easier to work towards your goals. You need a plan to help generate income that will last as long as you need it. And the first step to creating an income plan is an analysis of where you are now. Let us help you bring your retirement into focus with your free income analysis today.
When it comes to planning for the future, time may not always be on your side. Think about your taxes. Tax rates are historically low right now, but they'll likely be higher in the future. With the right planning and strategy, you might be able to cut your tax bill in the years to come. But don't wait until it's too late to take advantage of today's lower tax rates. Let us be your partner in planning for tomorrow so you can enjoy your retirement today.
Planning for retirement can be complicated. Helping create income that lasts, making sure your health care is covered, investing while managing risk, and don't forget about taxes. If you're overwhelmed, you're not alone. The good news is we have what you need to give you confidence to start planning for your ideal retirement, all in one convenient resource. You'll get answers to some of your biggest retirement questions in this easy-to-understand, practical resource. And best of all, there's no cost to you. Take the first step toward a confident retirement and get yours today.
And we're back on the program. Glad to have you with us. Of course, I'm joined by Tom and Matt, both with the Retirement Solution. And we love this part of the program because, well, I get to put these guys in the hot seat. You get to ask them questions. And we're ready. We've got a stack of questions. You guys are ready to do this?
Absolutely.
Okay, so Tom, you're in the hot seat first. And we're going to be looking at a question from John in Burbank. He says, when putting together a legacy plan, what should I consider when deciding to use a will or a trust?
All right. Well, I think the hard part there is really trying to get it down to the detail, because there are, depending on who you talk to, you got to have a trust. And, I'm not as sold on trusts, depending on someone's situation. So it's a really complicated question to really kind of answer without knowing his particular situation. Trusts are great for ensuring that what you want to happen will happen when you die. If you want to make sure that that piece of property goes to your daughter and not your son, and you want the car to go to that grandson, a trust is a great way to do that because it ensures that happens. There's also some tax planning and that makes sense within a trust. And there's also some consolidation things that work really well with the trust. But again, big question, great question, really one that you want to sit down and talk about your specifics to really determine, because not everybody needs those. A lot of our clients will die without trusts. They'll have a will, and that'll be perfectly fine for their situation.
Okay, wills, trusts, all of these documents and these things you need, but there's so many questions swirling around those. Okay, so Matt, you're up now, and this one comes from Susan in Mount Vernon. She says, how can I decide how much to leave for my grandkids' education?
Oh, well, what a wonderful thing to try to be leaving money behind for, I'd say. So what you typically want to do there is just kind of reverse engineer it. So depending upon if Susan thinks she knows where the grandkids are going to go to college, you can look at the tuition today and forecast let's say the grandkid is 5 years old, right? So they've got 14 years or 13 years, I guess, before college starts. What will that tuition rate be? You could use something called the 529 plan, where you can start to put aside money today and let that grow tax-free for that child's benefit for college. And then a 529s have other advantages where if the child doesn't end up needing it all or just doesn't go to college, it can be converted to other assets for them. Sometimes, though, a 529 isn't the best idea. In Washington, there's things you can do where you can buy tuition credits at today's prices, but they only apply for Washington State University. So anyway, all that is to say there's lots of ways to look at that. What we'd want to do is sit down, look at how many grandkids, the ages, Susan's situation in terms of how much she could actually afford to give to that.
Okay,
figure it out.
education, and those prices are always going up. So I love where her mind is, and that we do have some options here. So Tom, next question goes to you then, and this is from Robert in Walla Walla. He says, "Can I make a big donation to charity and still support my family?"
All right, Robert, I think that's a great thing to be asking, because it sounds like you feel pretty good about your retirement and what you have in assets. And the answer is, again, it comes down to your plan. So your plan may be such that you can leave a big donation to a charity, in which case maybe we want to, create some of these, charitable remainder trusts or some other structure to help you get there. We want to first make sure that, as you pointed out, and they still support my family part is in perfectly good order before we do charity, because what do they say? Charity starts at home. So we want to make sure that we have that handled. But yeah, you can do that. And I think it's a wonderful thing to do, because you can make such a difference in these charities. Even if your amount you feel is small, it's a lot of those small ones add up to where they actually can pay their bills.
All right. A lot of great questions coming in on this topic. And Matt, I want to ask you this one. This is from Linda in Mill Creek. She says, "What are a few ways to make sure my family doesn't fight over my wishes?"
Oh, my word, yes. Just had a meeting with a client recently about this exact thing. There's two main ways. There's lots of ways, but here's the two that come to mind. One, what we'll do is we'll get our clients together with their kids in the room, and we will meet with them, and we will talk to them, and we will say, here's what's going on financially. Oh, and by the way, from an estate perspective, here's what Steve and Sally are thinking you guys are going to get. And then here are the wishes that they've made when it comes to these estate planning documents that have been drawn up. And that really gets into answer number 2, is have your wishes written down. The last thing that we ever want to have happen is something happens to you, you're sick, and you can't speak for your own needs, and the doctor's like, what should I do? And you've got one child saying, Mom said save her, and the other child saying, no, Mom said don't save her in this situation. And now nobody's going to be happy. The doctors are getting sued no matter what, and there's just no upside there at all. So talk about it and have it written down.
Well, and I would add in there, when you're writing things down, include all of the stuff. The vase that you got from Grandma, the brooch, Grandpa's tools, all of those things are what divide families. And it's amazing what people actually think are valuable, that you didn't realize everybody wanted. And so I would recommend that. Someday I'll tell you the story of my inheritance from my mother-in-law. Be careful what you ask for would be the nut of it, but just write it down.
It sounds like that written plan is potentially one of the greatest gifts that you can give your family. It really brings clarity. Okay. And the two of you bring clarity all the time, each and every week. Matt, Tom, thank you so much. If you're ready to create a tax-efficient retirement plan designed to protect your wealth, generate income for life, and leave a lasting legacy, now is the time to connect with the team at The Retirement Solution. For Tom Black, Matt Perroni, and the entire team at The Retirement Solution, I'm Megan Mozak. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week right here on Retire Right Washington.